we have projects like this, whether it's the kids or to our seniors, that you come out and it's always a fulfilling experience. So that was this Saturday gone here. Also, Kiwanis Club of Global Alliance, I was looking to see President Eddie was online, had their back to school dental fair at Red Cross. I understand it went very well. If there's anybody here from Global Alliance who would like to share, I wasn't able to go, but I heard it went well. Um, and of course, we sent the message out, and I think there was a lot of participation from various schools and persons who are looking forward to the dental assistance. Then I also need to bring to your attention that this Friday, the Eastern Canada and Caribbean District, ECNC District, is having their Grand Charity Ball. This is a charity ball for student scholarships and grants, and that's this Friday, the 29th, at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, starting at 7 p.m. The cost is $18,000 for the tickets. We are putting together, that is Kingston Club, a delegation to go. Now it's not too late to get your tickets. It is supporting a worthy Kiwanis cause. The scholarships are various scholarships for our children, both at the primary and the secondary stage. So we ask that wherever you can, even if you can't make it in person, if you'd like to make a contribution, please get in touch with Secretary Willie and support this Kiwanis initiative. And then finally, this evening, as many of you know, here in Jamaica, we're at the height of our election campaigning. And this evening, we're going to have a very interactive session where our members are going to share with you what is their wish list, what is on their priority list for the new government, wherever it may be. And so obviously, when we're talking about politics, it's always spirited, it's always exciting. But ultimately, the aim of this discussion is towards a better Jamaica, better community for ourselves, for our children, and it can only be, even though we are going to have different views and some of the wish lists may not be attained, I think that it's good and healthy to have this kind of discussion because it lends us to aiming towards a better country and a better society, and that is a worthy cause, no matter how you look at it. So we're looking forward to the participation of not just our members, but all of the persons who are on the call this evening who would like to contribute as to what is on their wish list, what is their priorities. Maybe the members of the various parties may tune in and listen and hear, but it's really for us, at least as Jamaicans, to put our position on the table. So we're looking forward to that later on this evening. That's going to be our feature presentation later on. But now, as I see online, we have quite a few persons, and I'm going to ask President-elect Zuri, who I saw online earlier, to do the official welcome and introduction to our guests. And there you are, Zuri. Welcome, and over to you.
Thank you, President Stephen.
No problem.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. As you're just told, I am President-elect Zuri, and it is indeed my honor and a pleasure to welcome you all to our meeting for this week.
A correction, President designate Zuri. It's President designate you are and not President elect.
Okay, thank you. President designate.
All right, good.
The general meeting is already gone. I can't pull out now, right?
Correct.
Thank you, dear G. Desmond. So I'm President Designate Zuri, and it is my honor and indeed a pleasure to welcome you to another of our weekly meeting. We are in election season, and this week we are going to be having very insightful discussions as our members tell us what are their priority areas they would like to see the new government, the incoming government, whoever forms it, of Jamaica, what they would like to see them prioritize. We're also going to be opening the discussion to few of you online so that you can share as well. As usual, I'm going to take the opportunity now to give our visiting Kiwanis clubs and well-wishers an opportunity to bring us greetings. So this is a time where you can open your microphones, and if you wish to open your videos, you can too, and share with us. Just let us know where you are joining us from this evening. And I'm going to start with Kiwanis clubs outside of Jamaica. Do we have any clubs visiting us outside of Jamaica?
Yes. Good evening, President Designate. My name is Dave Archer.
Good
I
evening.
bring greetings from the Kiwanis Club of Greater Sunrise, Broward. I am a long time, in fact, in 1980, I was a member of this club in Jamaica. I migrated in 1985, and I'm currently president designate for the Kiwanis Club of Greater Sunrise. And my brother is a Kiwanian in Kiwanis Club of Kingston, as
Is
it
that
is today.
Michael Archer?
Michael Archer, he's visiting, but he's stepped away, and I took the opportunity to join the meeting.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And it's good to have you coming home, I'll call it. So it's nice to have you online. And I'm sure
Thank you.
you will enjoy this evening's meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any other clubs visiting from outside of Jamaica? If not, how about Division 25? Do we have any clubs visiting from Division 25?
Good evening, PD Zuri. This is Director Crystal Heaven from the Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay. We have 2 members on so far. Others will be joining shortly. Thank you so much for the invite.
It is our pleasure to have you, Director, to have you and your delegation join us this evening. I hope that it will be quite interesting for you, and feel free to share your views as well. Do we have any other clubs from Division 25? All right, we go to Division 24. Let's try Division 23 West. Division 23 East.
Hello. Bev, are you going to take this?
Our leader, Sonia, should go on, but I can go ahead. Gerthin, thank you so much. Good evening, President-designate Zuri. As usual, we're always so happy to interclub with you, and especially this evening when it gives us a chance to speak our minds. So with us this evening, interclubbing with you this evening, we have 8 members. Gerthing, am I correct? I think I counted 8.
10 members.
How many?
10.
10. Great.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
speak for yourself. I'm not speaking no man. You go ahead.
Yeah. And so we have 10 members interclubbing with you this evening. And on behalf of our president, Sophia, we would like to wish you all the best for a wonderful meeting. Thank you so much, PD Suri.
Most welcome, and I'll say they're from the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston.
Oh, we take it for granted, that it's us.
Well, we don't.
Yes.
When I address him, he know it's New Kingston. Is that correct, PD Zuri?
I know it's New Kingston, but I want everybody else to know it's New Kingston.
Great.
Okay,
Good
thanks.
evening, everyone.
It's always a pleasure having our New Kingston family with us. Always, always, always a pleasure. I'm looking forward to your views as well. So be sure to share them with us. Do we have any other clubs from Division 23 East?
Hello, good night. PD Zuri. This is DP Nigel from Kiwanis Club of Mona. Happy to join your meeting. I just me alone from Mona currently, but I'm glad to be here online. Thanks.
Don't worry, you're not alone. Once you are at a meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, you are with family, and it is our pleasure to have you. Feel free to share. We are interested in hearing your views as well. Right, so let's go to Division 23 Central. Do we have any visiting clubs from Division 23 Central?
Good evening, President Zuri, fellow Kiwanians. This is President Kenton from the Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew. We're three strong so far. We're looking forward to an exciting afternoon. Thank you for having us on board.
Most welcome, President. Thanks for joining, and we look forward to sharing with you and your delegation. It is our pleasure to have you join our meeting. Any other clubs from Division 23 Central?
Good evening, PD Zuri. How are you?
Good evening, President. I'm well, thank you. And how are you?
I am doing very well, especially seemed to me that you got an extra shot of concentrated enthusiasm. So I'd like to have even a thimbleful from you.
I'll share.
Okay, great. So in the interim, I'm sorry. In the interim, while I wait for that extra shot, I am going to introduce us from 23 Central Surrey Online. At this time, I think I see two, myself and LG, DLG Desmond. I'm going to borrow him so that I can have an interclub. Okay, so at this time we have two, a delegation of two. So thank you so much, and I look forward to this spirited discussion. Thanks.
You're most welcome.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Do we have any other clubs from Division 23 Central?
Good evening, PD Zuri.
Good
President
evening,
Stephen.
West St. Andrew.
Yes, how are you? On behalf of President Claudine, and I think we have one member so far online. We say good evening, and we look forward to exhilarating interclubbing.
Thank you for joining. And that I know it will be exhilarating. Do we have any other clubs from Division 23 Central? If not, how about our SLPs? Do we have any member of our SLP fraternity online? How about guest of Kiwanians? I did invite a few persons, and I'm seeing one of them online, at least. Don't be shy, Mr. Davis. Can open your microphone and just say hello to the meeting.
Hello, good night, Kiwanians. I am Siddiqui Davis. I'm a guest of Mr. President Designate Zuri Johnson. I look forward to the meeting and probably for future meetings thereafter. Have a good night.
Thank you. And not probably, you will be at future meetings. After the excitement of tonight's meeting, I'm sure you're going to want to come again. Do we have any other guest of Kiwanians online?
Stefan Morris, guest of President Designate Zuri. I'm pleased to be here and looking forward to the engagement.
You can, Stefan. It's our pleasure to have you. And yes, it will be an exhilarating meeting, as I said earlier. And I'm going to say to all of you, enjoy, take notes, have a safe election season, and may the better outcome for Jamaica be had. Over to you, President Stephen.
Thank you, President-designate. I got the ball rolling on the wrong side. President-designate Zuri, well done. And thank you very much. And I'm glad to have everybody on board, Kiwanians from far and near. Next on our agenda, we do have apologies for absence. I don't have any formal apologies. Secretary Willie, is there any apologies from your side?
No, I don't have any dissent. Yes, we also apologize for the absence of Treasurer Harvey Lewis.
Okay, yes, who is off the island. Okay, so let us transition now into birthdays and anniversaries. I saw DP Newton online, so I'm going to invite DP Newton to share with us special occasions for Kiwanians and guests at this time.
Good evening, President. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all here. Waiting for what's to come next. So let me move on quickly. I am going to ask everyone online to either wave, shout, or something and say happy belated anniversary to DLG Desmond Batchelor. He and his wife Yvette celebrated their anniversary yesterday, the 25th. I don't know if he wishes to tell you how many years.
43.
43.
43, sir.
Whoa.
I'm going strong. I'm going strong.
Thank you.
The only problem is, sir, if anybody who knows Yvette would think you got married when she was probably 2. Because Yvette does not look a day over. She doesn't even look 43. So I hope the police doesn't come looking for you. But happy belated anniversary, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. And we
Thanks, everyone. Yes.
And we have Kiwanian Joseph Francis and Annette. They will celebrate their anniversary on the 31st, which is Sunday coming. And at this time, I'm just going to ask, that's who I have on my list, but I'm going to ask anyone online who is having an anniversary, a birthday, any special occasion, if you could just open your microphone, share with us so we can celebrate with you. Anyone? Well, President,
it's my son's birthday.
Sorry, go ahead.
Today is my son's birthday.
Okay.
He's deceased, but he's still my son.
He's how old?
He's deceased, but he's still Gertrude's son.
Okay. All right. I understand. Really do. Anyone else? No? All right. Well, President Stephen, I guess the microphone is yours, sir.
Okay, I'll take the relay baton with grace. Thank you, DP Newton. Always entertaining and informative with your recognition of birthdays and anniversaries. So we're going to move now to Kiwanis education, and I'm going to, like a true sprinter or a relay man, pass the baton to our DLG Desmond to share with us some Kiwanian gems of information and education.
Let me just interrupt one sec.
Sure.
Newton, I'd like you to check your WhatsApp. I just needed to convey that. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, President Stephen. Good evening, fellow Kiwanians. We have SLP members and guests. The topic, well, I'll read from the bylaws. Standard form for club bylaws, Article 3.6. This club may host activities to inform club and community members about matters of public interest. However, this club will not express any opinion or take any action regarding any candidate, legislation, or other matters of a political nature. And that's it, President Stephen, for Kiwanis education. Thank you.
Okay,
Well
thank
said,
you.
well said.
Well said, especially prior to this presentation, there was a lot of discussion as to the parameters of the discussion this evening. Kiwanis is not a political, I should, just for clarification, not a political body. We have no affiliation to any party. We're all just Jamaicans and want the best for our country. So that's the context of our discussion this evening. And we hope that everybody else who contributes will take it in that same vein. So without further ado, I'm now going to hand over to DP Stew, who's going to give us an introduction to this evening's proceedings and how the format will be and how you can contribute to this lively discussion. Over to you, DP Stew.
Thank you, President Stephen. Everybody hear me fine?
Yes, we're hearing you. Yes.
Okay. Another thing for me to do. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, that's fine. One second.
In the interim, as DPQ comes up, we encourage people if you can raise your hand if you want to be recognized as a speaker, and you can also contribute through the chat feature, which is located at the bottom of your Zoom profile. Everybody knows Zoom now, so you can use the reaction, you can use the chat, but we want as many participants as possible. You're back now, DP Stu?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, we're seeing you on screen also.
Right. Okay, fellow Kiwanians and guests, tonight, as you may have seen the flyer, the issue is really to try and get from our members and our guests what would be on their wish list in terms of their top 5 priorities. Now I'm gonna set a few ground rules and then tell how we're gonna proceed. I'd asked a couple of our members to contribute, and you know, this exercise, it was more difficult than I thought it would be, but I think we have finally had a core that we, you know, we're happy to have to kick off the program with. So for that, I'm thankful. After we do the main ones on from our members, we're gonna open the floor to our guests. Now, although the flyer speaks to 5 items, our guests don't have to come with 5. If you have 1 or 2, that's good. So whenever you come, if it's just 2 or so burning things that you want to get mentioned, then that's fine. We welcome that. So in terms of our guidelines, each person will have a total of a maximum of 3 minutes. Some may not use 3 minutes if they just list it, but we're allowing for them to elaborate on why they may have selected what they have selected. So we have allowed 3 minutes for each person. And that is really the members who are contributing the 5 items. Now, let me just say this. The ideas put forward by, or the issues put forward by any member or any person are not going to be debated. We're not going to have crosstalk, like somebody says this, and then we have somebody saying, well, why did you? We're not going to entertain that part of the discussion, because we think that what you're going to do is, if you have your own ideas as to what the next government should do, you will have a chance to communicate that. But we're not going to get into crosstalk between parties. And by parties, I meant individuals. I didn't really mean that kind of party, the other kind. Now, let me just see if I've covered what I wanted to cover. Okay, I think I've covered the main things. What we're hoping to do, and it's gonna be a little difficult. I've asked DP Newton to do it. I don't know if Andy John is still online, but if he is, I don't know if he might be able to help. But we wanted Newton to kind of do a little collation exercise, so that at the end we can say, so many people thought this was a priority, you know. But it's all gonna be on YouTube anyway, so we'll have the information. But if we can collate it in time before we close the program, that would also be helpful because that would be in the the video. So I did mention to set a message to Newton that when I ask him to go first, so that he can thereafter concentrate on the counting part. And the idea of the counting is just to get an idea of where the focus is, where the majority persons are, because we are not saying, you know, two people might mention the same thing. We have not interfered with what each person might have put forward. All right. So, DP Newton, it's your the pleasure is all yours to kick us off.
Thank you, DP Stu. And I must admit that I love this movement so much that it is a pleasure for me to present, sir. And you know, I don't want to be one of those persons who are going to cause our politicians to fail. So my list is basic and simple, right? And the first one I have on my list is noise pollution, noise nuisance. You know, and it's more than a nuisance. You know, Jamaica has become a very noisy place, and it brings about a certain level of disorientation and anxiety and mental confusion, especially when you're out in the public. And it's not limited to any one sector. You have some low-cost yang bikes that are out there making a whole lot of noise, and you have the most pricey Benz and BMWs out there affecting your peace and tranquility in everyday life. And what do? They detract from public safety as they distract both drivers and pedestrians. They contribute to hearing loss. And as you know, if you're constantly bombarded by noise over 80 decibels, then you start going deaf. You know, they destroy your peace and tranquility once you're within proximity to them. And they cause a certain amount of heart palpitation and fright. You know, and this may lead to other health issues. I'm pretty sure everyone here has been affected by either one of those bikes or one of these cars that they have modified the mufflers just coming up on you, and you really get frightened. And I can imagine persons who are in the older bracket, how do they deal with it, right? And naturally, all of this noise is going to contribute to antisocial behavior because tempers are going to flare, quarrels are going to break out. But it's not just these guys who bikes and cars, because we also have the music. I mean, every bar, every church, every shop, every club you pass, and yes, you heard me right when I say every church, right? Because the churches contribute to it the same. The churches, a bar thinks that they have the right to blare their whatever they're offering. A guy who has a car believes he has a right to put the speaker in the window and offer you whatever lewd thing he's playing. And so do the churches. And not every Christian worship the same way, and not everybody is a Christian. So whether it is lewd music or church, people should learn to contain whatever they're having within their space. I don't need to be invited into their space. They don't need to invade mine. No, the Road Traffic Act and Noise Abatement Act and the Transport Authority need to get some teeth and committed individuals, because guess what? They say the police are equipped with decibel meters. I've never seen a policeman measuring the decibel of any of these bikes or these cars. And even if they do, the fine is a paltry $15,000, right? My second thing.
What? Okay, just one thing, Newton.
Yes.
You've gone more than half your time, and you've gone to just number one. So, watch your time.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Jamaica has become a very dirty place. You know, people throw garbage all over the place. I mean, you the stench of urine and feces wherever you go. I mean, it's just there. And even though Section 46 and 53 of the National Solid Waste Management Act prescribes a paltry fine of $2,000, now what does that do? I mean, juxtapose that on Arizona, where the same act gets you fined, jailed, and have a permanent criminal record. So we have to, but in order to fix that, we need to have public bathrooms in close proximity enough to each other, and places like restaurant, gas stations, and so a a part of them getting permit to operate should be a public facility, even if people have to pay for it. They also need further regulation of the public transport system. Right? You have gridlocks because of all of these taxes. I believe over the next 5 to 10 years, we should have no public passenger vehicle that seats less than 8. Number 4, I think we should transition to a heavier weighting on indirect taxes rather than payroll tax. I mean, by the time you finish with NIS 3%, NHT 2, ed tax 2.25%, PAY 25, I mean, there's nothing. I think over the next 5 to 10 years, we should be lowering PAY to 10% and GCT to somewhere around there. And staff the Inland Revenue Department with people who have degrees and pay them a percentage of whatever it is they collect from tax dollars. And number 5, I think we should expand the technical vocational training. I think there should be a technical vocational training institute in every parish. Technical vocational training we should have high schools in every parish and from 3rd form, people start going to that, because let's face it, it's not every one of us book bright, but every one of us can do something. We just have to have the facilities that we can absorb these people and turn them into worthwhile human beings rather than say, boy, them don't and can't go anywhere. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, DP. Let's make sure my mic is on, right? Yes, it's on. Okay, keeping it moving. I want to call on DP Marcel to be the second bat at the wicket.
Thank you. Good evening, all. I'll be very short and quick. In the context of what I consider the most important, yes, the most important thing for Jamaica to do now is to grow the economy. When we are celebrating a growth of 1.4%, we're joking. So in that light, 3 things. 3. Transshipment and logistics. The transshipment port needs to be expanded by over 100%. And the link with that is the whole business of logistics. So expansion of transshipment and logistics, number 1. Number 2, agriculture. Really put emphasis and we get going in agriculture. Jamaica should feed itself, have food security, and help to feed the rest of the world. We have some of the most choice products for the world. Number 3, tourism. Our location, just like transshipment and logistics, makes us right for real tourism. We should be at least doubling what we're doing now. And all of this is towards growing the economy, because you have to identify the legs on which you can grow the economy, everything will flow from that. And number 4, the creative industry. This covers entertainment and sports. It's at 3 billion. Not M. 3 trillion. Not M, not B. Trillion dollar US dollar industry. A country that has some of the best entertainments in the world in terms of sports. You know where we are at any one time. We still have the fastest female and male in the world, etc., etc. And we have not monetized. We have been joking. So those 4 will really to get the economy growing as it should. That's it, Mr. Speaker. Mr.
Okay.
I'll take
it. Thank you. Thank you, DP Marcel. I'm going to ask Dennis Townsend to go next. But before Dennis comes on, let me ask Dave. Dave, Michael had said he would hopefully log on. So I guess if he's with you, can you tell me if he's back there? Because you said he had stepped out.
No, he hasn't returned yet.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping that he will return. Otherwise, I might have to present what he submitted to me. But I'd love if he articulated it himself. And when we go to the our guest, if you have something you wanna, you will get a chance to do that also. But find a way to let me know if he comes back in time, because
well,
all right,
well done.
Okay,
good.
Dennis, Kiwani and Dennis Townsend, your time, Dennis.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Stuart. I will focus on two issues. The first one is in relation to our economy and our gross domestic product. Over the years, we have been growing at a very slow rate or at a very low rate, 1%, 2%. And at times, when there is any kind of recession, we accelerate. Right? So measures need to be put in place to increase productivity or to facilitate productivity. And when I talk about productivity, I'm not talking about labor productivity alone. I'm talking about productivity of the firm, government services, and so on and so forth. Right? So I think the government need to focus on incentivizing factors or programs that will facilitate economic growth, because the best way for a country to be able to improve the standard of living of people is through economic growth, right? So there needs to be some, just as how we had, there needs to be some program or some maybe legislation to establish maybe a think tank and an action committee to focus on economic growth. Just as how they had one for fiscal policy, the financial program policy that was established about a few years ago to bring the country's fiscal accounts into order, right? So we need to focus on it, incentivize economic growth by incentivizing productivity, both at the firms as well as labor productivity. Can do this by increasing STEM learning, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, right? So that we'll have people who are able to deal with the modern technology and the present competitive nature of the world in relation to competitiveness, right? We need a more efficient and convenient public transportation, right? Need to work on that, because to take people around, to get them to work and they're busy and to school and so on in a comfortable and efficient way, it will be a great boost to productivity. We need to try to lower the rate of electricity. Our kilowatt rate is pretty high, although it is improving. It's coming downward because of the use of more use of yeah,
natural gas.
Yes, yeah, another natural energies. Okay, so yeah, so there needs to be a focus on the government to negotiate for the next license for JPS. They need to negotiate a situation where JPS will move towards decreasing the kilowatt price for electricity. Right. So those are the issues that need to be dealt with for us to achieve economic growth, and that will help to improve the life and improve the economy of the country. All right. So the other issue that we need to focus on, we need to focus on coming to a consensus about constitutional reform. Right. We were able to get consensus when we moved from the colonial government to independence in relation to establishing our constitution, right? Right, where there was consensus, and out of that came our constitution, which was a pretty good constitution, but based on present realities, there needs to be some reform and so on and so forth, especially in relation to moving towards a republic, for us to have the notion that, well, apart from the notion, the reality that we are fully independent, right? So those are the two issues that I think we need to focus on.
Okay.
Constitutional reform and economic development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. And to keep it moving, there are a couple of persons who had said they had another commitment, and so I'm kind of watching the list of people who are online just to see if any of them have come on. But in the meantime, next up, I'm gonna go to DLG Desmond.
Thank you, DP Stewart.
Sure.
All right, my first one is on education, and it's early childhood education. My concern is the learning disabilities or developmental delays that we seem to have in primary and high schools. And this was really highlighted so much by the principal of Pembroke High School recently. He said not less than 70% of the 220 students or 154 students in grade 7 were unable to read or did not read or were only able to read at a grade 3 level. He said he struggled to recognize, some of them struggled to recognize the letters in the alphabet. Now, how do I want for this to be addressed? Well, we want a situation that for us to make it more attractive as a career to have special education specialists in the early stage, primary school, or perhaps before that. Because when you look at having the cost, when you look at the cost involved for diagnosing, these students have not been diagnosed. They have been in high school, started in grade 7, have not been diagnosed in some cases. And when you take them through the process, diagnosis at the micro diagnostic center takes up to a year for the school to fully understand what is happening, what are the learning disabilities, and how the problems can be corrected. So I dare say that we ought to make it a little bit more attractive, to bring in more students to be trained in the institution in special education. And at the same time, as far as the remuneration is concerned, make it more attractive. When you look at Pembroke, for example, and I'm saying this is not unique to Pembroke, but when you look at a teacher population of 70, and you only have 2 special education teachers, that is a problem. And so where we start off with the primary schools, let us focus our attention there and basic schools, of course, see how we can assess them, analyze them from an early stage. Now, when we talk about remuneration, yes, it is important for that to be so considered. And as I said, to be able to encourage, attract, and retain our teachers. I particularly like the idea, and this is not political, but I particularly like the idea of increasing the threshold, the tax threshold, so that more money, disposable income, is available to our teachers. They'll have more money in their pockets at the end of the day. And that is it for education. The second issue has to do with checks and balances. Most recently, when I'm listening to the topical issues of buses and equipment for the medical sector and the queries as far as the costing involved, I see where the Auditor General should become very active and where it is seen that parliamentarians or public servants are culpable, that they be surcharged. But not only that, if fraud is identified, whichever politician, whichever side, whichever administration, that they should be duly charged for the offense that is committed. Those are my 2 areas, DP Stewart.
Okay, thank you, DLG. I see one of our attendees, it says Michael's iPhone. Is that Michael Archer?
Hello?
Hi, Michael?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. I saw the Michael's iPhone, so I figured it might be you. All right. Are you ready? You could go ahead now.
basically, well, I sent you my little note because I'm actually on the road overseas
Yes.
and
Well,
wasn't sure.
I
So
was I didn't want to read it if I could get you to enunciate it, but I don't know if you can do it. Are you in a position to do it?
let me
Or
try.
maybe
I might get cut off.
okay. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you very well now. Anyway, maybe you have to pull over. I don't know if you're driving.
No, I'm actually
You're stationary.
stationary.
Okay. All right.
No, I was just saying that in terms of going forward, I guess the efforts of stabilizing the economy and creating and a better financial base for the economy, to a great extent, has uh, been not totally successful, but predominantly successful. I think going forward, one of the concerns we have is how can we, Barbados have a debt to GDP ratio of close to 100, but they had growth of 3.5% last year. We have a debt to GDP of 60%, 64%, yet we only had 0.8% growth. The question is, how do we move forward to ensure that the benefits of the fiscal discipline that we have started to adhere to start to translate into benefits for the wider population? And therefore, I don't know how many it was, but there's 4 or 5. I think the first thing is that clearly we have a significant problem with our education system. As I indicated in the brief I said, the government suggesting that moving maths passes at CXC from 37% to 42, shows growth. I think that is part of our problem, where our education and training seems to be lagging way behind what is expected to create the kind of growth that would result in not just full employment, but full, meaningful living standards for the majority of the population. I think the second thing that we need to look at is that rural development seems to have been neglected generally in terms of infrastructure investment. And I say infrastructure investment for economic activity, primarily as it relates to the fact that most of our rural areas are agricultural based. And if you just drive down the highway now, you see a lot of lands that were previously sugar lands that are vacant, full of cachemaka trees, And how can we translate our economy and create an agricultural based industry that can attract more young people, more capacity to ensure that we can, in fact, benefit from some of the growth that we are accruing as a result of some of the foreign investment that we have had, it's primarily in the hotel sector. So from 2 standpoints, food security and basically economic growth, we have to significantly overhaul our agricultural sector. And just to again speak a little about this training and education. We definitely in some levels, BPOs, construction, tourism, have opportunities that can't be taken up by our population because of lack of training. And therefore, if we're going to grow the economy, we can't be talking about bringing in outside technical assistance because we have shortages in construction, tourism, in fact, across the board, agriculture. And so emphasis has to be placed on training. Right? The other issue is that most of the investment that we have had is supposedly foreign direct investment, and that's good. But what we need to do is how can we facilitate the growth and the increase in capacity of our local entrepreneurial class, especially the small business sector. And again, that just looks at the business of training and the business of increased activity in things like agriculture. There was one other thing I'd raised.
Housing.
We have a problem in terms of housing, and a major issue is not so much price. The economics of it is that if demand is high, the price goes up. Some of the proposals of just increasing access to funds is not going to solve the problem. I think what we need to do is have a real concerted effort to increase the supply side as it relates to housing. I'm in that sector, and I can tell you, there are people who call me, there are schemes that the government announced, and people call me if I have any influence to try and get them on the list. Of all the housing schemes that the Housing Trust has put out today at low income level, what is happening is that they're oversubscribed, meaning that if there are 1,000 units on offer, there are probably 10,000 applications. And I'm not talking about people who just apply, I'm talking about people who qualify. And therefore, if we're to address that, which also address the whole business of urban development and community development and growth, we have to significantly increase the amount of housing solutions that the country produces. And that can only happen if we direct the housing trust and the private sector entities to move more into producing a lot more housing than we are now producing. The issue about providing more funds for deposits is not the issue. The issue is a lack of supply. And this also would be enhanced if we could deal with the inner city housing problem, because we have infrastructure in place, but we don't have the kind of programs that significantly look at urban renewal and basically restructuring our inner city housing stock to, one, improve the quality of life for low-income households, but also to increase the capacity for development generally, urban development and renewal. And those are things that I think any new administration, whichever side it is, should focus on in terms of moving from just stability now to real growth.
Right.
So that's basically my contribution.
Right. Thanks, Michael. I think I have to ask you to come do a guest speaker slot covering some of these things in more detail, because you hit a lot of key areas that I really think need more focus. So I want to thank you for your contribution. And I know you're overseas, but glad you could find the time to squeeze in and to be a part of what we're doing this evening. So thanks, Mike.
All right. I'll try to continue to listen.
Sure. Great. Right. Okay. That was Michael Archer. And in case you didn't know, he's an engineer and he's involved in housing and all kind of infrastructure. So that's just so that he's not talking just as somebody who thinks this is how it is, but he knows what he's talking about. All right. Let me go. I have a couple that I would like to read at this point, because one person didn't want to present himself. So let me see if I can find what he had to say. Just give me a second. And I should okay. Please keep. Yeah. Okay. Please keep the mics closed for me. Please keep the mics closed. Thank you.
Give some insight on.
Oh, let me just see if I can mute that. 1 second.
I'm talking about this general.
1 second. Let me just. You might not have been aware. Come on. Okay. All right. All right. Let me just read this one. Now, since he didn't want to go public, I probably shouldn't call his name. But let me just say this. This is what I got from that person. And I'll just say he's a DP. Okay, health, and it is very brief, health, social safety net. Yes, what he's saying is that there needs to be, better, more attention paid to providing a social safety net. And then he said staff retention, and I think he puts in brackets education and health. So I guess we're talking about trying not to lose our skills in those areas. Then he had road maintenance and rural water supply, and establish a hub to grow the economy. Well, I won't elaborate, but those are the basic. That's basically the information that he submitted. So I want to thank him for that, and he knows who he is, because he's online. But anyway, that covers that one. And I have another one I'm going to read. And let me just, after I read this one, I'm going to ask Zuri to come next. But let me just get this one out. This one is from Carlo, Mason, yeah. Let me just find it. 1 second. Okay. And he says not necessarily in this order, but he said there must be an unencumbered focus on, and even a 15 to 20 year plan for education. And then he lists also national security, finance, transportation / mobility, and housing. And he said these are his top 5. So I will go with that, and I won't elaborate. It kind of speaks for itself.
Sorry, DP Stu?
Yeah.
Just for my thing, it was focused on a plan for education, national security,
finance, transportation, and housing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And at this point, let me call on PD Zuri, not PE, but PD Zuri. If there was a Sarge, we would have to use the Sarge for that one. Anyway, go ahead, PD.
Thank you. So my 5 issues. started with education, and I wanted to focus on the secondary level. And for me, I was looking at equal opportunities, meaning, well, I had the privilege of going to a high school in rural Jamaica and a high school in what we consider corporate Jamaica in Kingston. And there are vast differences in terms of the resources that are available to the different schools. So the students, whereas the students might have the same abilities, they don't have access to the same kind of resources. So at your castle, and I'm sure it's probably has changed now, we didn't have a library where we could go in and sit with resource books to assist with assignments. I had that at Arden. So for me, there needs to be something that works so we can get all schools right across equal, so we can have zoning. So right now we have people from St. Anne, from all over Jamaica that are coming into, because everybody wants to get into the top schools. And I mean, let's face it, how it is now, we do have supposed top schools because there are schools that are more resourced than others. And I feel like that's something that we need to do so we can go back to zoning. Because for me, when children at 10, 11, 12 are being taken away from their families to go to boarding situations that the parents have no control over, that to me contributes to some of the social breakdown that we are having. And I want them to focus on expanding it to have like specialized high schools, such as performing arts high schools. So I know we have technical high schools now, but I mean, we could improve on that and the number so that, yes, there is still a focus on academic, but we have gifted children who have other kind of interest that if we start to foster it from that level, then that would help. Because for the most part, that's where most of us start to shape who we want to become in terms of career. Right, so I'm going to move next. I had urbanization to develop areas outside of Kingston and St. Andrew. Because right now we're having brain drain is not only from because of persons leaving Jamaica, but it's also because of persons, you have persons who are leaving these areas because the jobs are just not there. Like in St. and the main type of jobs that are available there is tourist jobs, jobs in tourism. Not everybody have that kind of interest, but we don't have developed urbanized areas where persons can work in fields that they're interested in. So maybe if you want to be a top engineer, I mean, you'd have to go to the corporate area to get the kind of jobs that you want. So you find that when many of us come to the universities that are for the most part centered in the corporate area, we don't go back home because now that you have your degree, there's nothing to go back home to do. Right. So and if we urbanize those areas, then that would help us with the housing problems that we do have where we're running out of space in the corporate areas because now more persons would be interested to live outside of the corporate area because the type of jobs they're interested in and the type of opportunities that are available for them to develop themselves and their family would be outside of the corporate area. Which runs for me into my third one, which is housing solutions. More affordable homes for persons, for young people, more affordable housing options. Over and over, we're hearing the numbers are not adding up. We see the demands, we see persons trying to live, where we see persons living on gully banks, river banks, unsafe areas, flooding. We see it all the time. So if it is that we create programs that provide affordable housing in suitable areas and situations, then we would lessen this kind of issue that we have. And then I went to transportation. And for me, for transportation, we need to work on having more diversified modes of transportation. It can't just be cars, buses, and trucks. I mean, we see the problems that we have with that. We see the problems with the traffic situation, which takes away from productivity. I mean, you spend 3 hours in traffic to go to work, 3 hours in traffic. By the time you come out of traffic to get to your desk or wherever your job is or whatever you do, you are so tired. And then you have to go back into that traffic And then persons with families, you have to take care of your children, get them ready for school the next day. So that significantly affects productivity. I mean, for me, it seems that we have regressed in that area because before we had railway, we had ferries. So I think it's time that we start to think about going back to those modes of transportation. So, and that would even help with the roads because you won't have these big trucks with heavy duty equipment and material being transported across. That can be done on railways, which causes less pressure on the roads, which means less amount to spend on maintenance because we probably won't have as many potholes. And the last one, I'm kind of trying to squeeze two in. I was climate change. So I'm going to tweet climate change and I'm going to just tack on food security since I was given five. Not that they're related, but I just wanted to put another one in there because I feel like that's something that we need to look at. We need to look at our green spaces. We need to look at legislation for climate change. We need to look at emission. We need to look at so changing the mode of transportation could help us with that as well. But we need to look at our carbon footprint because it's affecting everyone and we see the rise in temperature and from that so many other things are stemming. So we need to prioritize that area and see what we can do to create some kind of balance or something that's sustainable. And food security, we need to grow our own. We need to be able to feed our people. I'll leave it there for now. Max.
Okay. Thank you, Zuri, PD Zuri. I can see where there could be a little bit of a discussion on some issues that have been raised so far. So long as we can keep, if after we get those persons who want to express their wish list, if we can probably find a little time to, so long as it doesn't get well, I don't want to use the word cantankerous because I don't say the reason why it should. But there are a couple of things that have been mentioned which probably could take a little bit of further, critique. But thank you again, Zuri. Okay, I have one more. No, Wentworth. And let me just ask: is Wentworth on? I don't think I've seen his name. Don't know if he is on. No, he gave me something. I have two people who gave me something. I have DP Lloyd Barnett, and what he said, I really didn't want to present it for him. He has a meeting, and I said, well, okay, let's see if you can step out for 4 minutes, and you could do it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read Wentworth's own, and then I'm gonna skip Lloyd's own in case he's able to show up a little later. And if it doesn't look like he's gonna make it, then I'll read his own. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do Wentworth, and then I'm gonna give you my 5. And then after that, we're gonna go to our guests. All right, so let me just read what Wentworth had to say. Okay, he said more educational opportunities, more land for agriculture, more opportunities for local contractors, better healthcare access and delivery for the poor. And then he said less corruption in government. And he threw in, okay, I'm gonna leave out this one, might be a little controversial. The last one. But that wasn't a suggestion of a wish list. It didn't fit into the idea of a wish list. It was so I don't need to read that particular one. So that was those were the things that he actually said.
DP Stewart.
Yeah.
Between agriculture and better healthcare, what was there?
All right, let me just run through it. Educational opportunities, land for agriculture, opportunities for local contractors. I mean, I don't know if it means like there's a lot of situations where you have construction going on, but we have foreign people doing the construction. So maybe that is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Then he said better healthcare access and delivery for the poor, and less corruption in government.
Okay.
Got that?
I got it. It was opportunity for local contractors that I missed.
Okay, not a problem. All right, let me give you mine. Okay, that's a message from Lloyd. And he's saying I will have to present for him because he's unable to step out. Okay, fair enough. All right, let me do Lloyd's own then. It was quite, if you know Lloyd, he has a very excellent, he has an excellent presentation style. So I really would have loved if he said it. I don't think, but I can, at best, I can just read this and hopefully convey what he said. So let me go to Lloyd Barney. He starts with stability, and he repeats the word stability. So what he wants is stability to be continued with good fiscal management of the economy. So he's stressing that. That's what he wants to be continued. And he says social infrastructure to include crime, rather a decline in crime, and technology as the basis for improved policing. So he wants the police to be aided, to be able to use more technology in the aiding of their work. And redirect education stimuli. Emphasis on early childhood must set the right base for long-term progress. And that was all in one. Okay. 2, continued expansion and diversification of our tourism products. Finding new gateways, Far East, India, South America. Attracting more cruise shipping, multi-porting. That is one ship drop in Trelawney and Ocho Rios. Better coordination, regulation of the Airbnb sector, and continued push for investment in the hotel sector. This alone ties in the farming communities, amenities such as attractions, craft vendors, tour operators, and taxi services. Kingston's airport expansion to keep step with international standards as per Montego Bay. I think MBJ, he's probably referring to the Montego Bay airport. Then it says expansion of our port facilities in Kingston to be the hub for north-south cargo in this region. This will dovetail well with the, now, I don't remember what SEZ stands for, but the SEZ plans enunciated by both parties. If anybody can remember what.
Zone.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Thanks. Okay. And now 4, health, transportation, and housing to be modernized, equipped, and affordable to serve the nation. Note I didn't say provide free, as an explosion of our budgets sets us back to the dark ages. So I wish to see a national push to improve access through private-public partnerships. Government must engage more sector players to come on board and participate in these vital areas. A school bus system, excellent, but revitalization of the train service is key. Every major country worth its salt has a reliable train service, moves people and cargo efficiently. And this one is really a wish list, maybe not so far-fetched. It says find oil. Government must encourage an expansion of the exploration now ongoing to assist where necessary with securing funding for drilling. As one, well, I don't have to mention that part. So he's saying, he's encouraging the government to spend more on oil exploration. And that is what Lloyd has submitted. And I thought that was really quite a comprehensive, he took the time to write this. So at least we had something to present on his behalf. All right, now I'm just gonna do, I don't think I've left out anybody. These are of the persons who committed. These are the ones I'm gonna go through first. So let me just say what I had in mind. And I'm gonna keep them brief except for one section that I think I want to elaborate a bit on. Now, beach access is a pet thing for me. you know, I'm really embarrassed when I watch some YouTube videos and you hear either Jamaicans or foreigners saying, can you imagine Jamaicans don't have access to the beaches? Now we know there are some beaches available, but the whole thing about beach access, we have to do something about it. I did a little reading on it, and you know, nobody actually owns the beaches, other than it being Crown land, which is what it was. It was the king, you know, and then now it's the government who controls it. But what they have the authority to do is to lease it, and they can give 30-year leases or whatever. And this is what has happened. Now, I don't know if it's because of the all-inclusive concept, which has been the dominant tourism product in Jamaica, but something has to be done about beach access. And you know, I think I've heard somebody talk about it in one of the speeches that I've heard. So I'm really looking forward to whichever party comes in, that something is done so that Jamaicans don't have to feel deprived. You know, this is one of our biggest assets, and we shouldn't have to be complaining about stuff like that. Then there's pollution by factories or people who are doing that kind of work. There was an incident less than a year ago. I'm not sure if it was in this year or last year, but it was, I'm sure it was less than 12 months ago, where there was a pollution and it caused a fish kill. And I'm not so sure if I personally was satisfied with how it was dealt with. We need to have, I don't know if it's a question of the regulation or if it's the imposition of what we should be doing, because I don't think people were compensated, the fishermen were compensated. This kind of thing not supposed to happen. Factories have a responsibility to clean up the mess, and they shouldn't be discharging waste into public spaces or public rivers and or so on. So that is a pet peeve for me. I'll touch on two things that are related to healthcare. And I'll just mention it in order to be specific, as I encouraged a lot of persons to be. We need to have more MRI machines and also dialysis centers in the public sector. Now, I think I heard once that Children's Hospital didn't have an MRI. I hope I got it right. I don't know if it was, maybe it was a different machine, but we definitely don't have enough in the public sector. And it's very expensive to do it in the private sector. I have had experience of that, and you know, if you don't have health insurance, you know, it can be a big hit. But I'm just saying, we need more of these kinds of machines, and it's not just MRI machines and dialysis as a center. There are other there are other tools and equipment that is being used in the public sector that we should be more accessible for the general public. And the last one, this is a wish list. Now, I read some time ago that we know about the red mud, right? Red mud has been a nuisance for a lot of people. Based on where it has been deposited, and we have the mud lakes in a couple of places in Jamaica. But what I read recently, and I think that this is something that the government should do something about or explore it more. I don't know if the Jamaica Bauxite Institute is doing anything, but there are valuable things in the red mud. Now, it's a byproduct of the alumina production. And I just want to give you a little example of some of the things that are in red mud that we could be bent. In other words, it could be a revenue stream if we really investigated this thing and did it right. Okay. Iron oxide, right? Red mud contains up to 60% iron oxides, making it a potential source for iron recovery. Aluminum compounds, residual aluminum compounds can be extracted and reused. Titanium dioxide, red mud contains titanium dioxide, which has applications in pigments and other industries. Rare earth elements, red mud may contain rare earth elements like scandium, which can be recovered and used in various applications. And it's not just scandium. Silica. Silica is present in red mud and can be used in cement and concrete production. So some potential uses, we just mentioned one, cement and concrete production. Red mud can be used as a supplementary cementitious material, reducing the need for virgin materials. I guess by virgin materials, we could just say, you know, wow, I used to work with this material, I know I can't remember. But you know, the marl, that's what I was talking about, which is the limestone. Okay, road construction. They say red mud can be used as a construction material, providing a sustainable alternative. Now, I'm not saying we should use it if it is not better than marl. So if it's not better than marl, then we continue using the marl. But I'm just saying this is also something that it can be applied to. Thermal energy storage. Calcined red mud has been found to be effective as a thermal energy storage medium. And then this one, flame retardant additive. Modified red mud can be used as a flame retardant additive in polymers. And soil amelioration. Red mud can be used to improve soil phosphorus cycling and ameliorate soil acidity. The people are doing research all over the world in this kind of thing. I'm wondering if we are doing the research, and if not, we should be. So that's my final one on my wish list. So that ends the section of those who were originally committed to make presentations. And at this stage, I would like to open it to the floor. And you can do so by indicating with your hands in the chat, or not in the chat rather, but so I can see it on screen. That would help. Let me just make sure my screen can show it. 1 second. Right. So at this point, who would like to go first? And as I said, let us deal with those who have a wish list, whether 1, 2, you don't have to come at 5. We get those captured, and then maybe we can have a little 5-minute period for, gentlemen, can I get 1 minute, just 1 minute, please? This is unfortunate, but I'm alone here, and I see something that I need to attend to. Just give me 1 second.
I hope him walk with him gone, you know.
We can see the show of hands in the meantime as to who will present. Yeah.
Okay. Sergeants, I'm back with you. Any hands up? I don't see any hands showing up yet.
Yeah, man, I have my hand up.
Okay.
Babe.
Please go
I'm
ahead.
not sure.
PRG.
You don't see? I wonder if it's working.
Oh, it's
Well,
not
I don't
working.
see, but
It's not working, right?
Go
Okay,
ahead.
anyway, I was listening carefully, and I just want to say one of my greatest wishes for our country is that the sidewalks, it might sound trivial, but the sidewalks, you know, a lot of people are into walking, and there is absolutely nowhere for one to even walk your dog and feel comfortable. Your foot is twisting up. I would love to see if, along with fixing the roads, if we could get our sidewalks fixed. And is there a rule, a law against when persons building their homes? Is there a rule that they should be making sidewalks if it's a home, you know, an independent home, or even if it's a scheme, shouldn't they have sidewalks made that persons can cycle and also walk? That's what I'd love to be addressed, you know. So I think it probably would fall under, along with the roads, fixing of the roads, that probably would be a part of of the whole thing. Another thing I think somebody mentioned the health sector about the hospitals being equipped to facilitate dialysis. It's a gross situation where we have our patients that cannot even get proper dialysis treatment done on a regular basis. Sometimes they have to forego because they may want to go 3 times a week and they don't have the machines are not working. And so that's another area
The cost can be
that
prohibitive.
I would love to see. And my third and final area is our senior citizens and transportation for them. The government, whomever it is, needs to look at that carefully. You know, whether we're going to have buses, special buses for them. And so we just like how they know we're going to have buses for the school children, they need to look at transportation for our senior citizens and for the disabled community. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, DLG, our club coach. I'm glad you could make it, and thanks for your contribution. Can you see any hands up? I don't know if I'm.
No, I'm not seeing any. But I was just going to say to DSG that I was adding to it, apart from the fact that we don't have enough equipment or dialysis machine, the cost is also prohibitive when they have to go more than 2 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying they'll limit you to 2 days a week? Is that what you're saying?
No, she was saying that because you don't have enough machines, you may not be able to go for more than 2 days a week. But even when they do have, you find that the cost is so much that they can't afford it.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, they need to look into it.
Yeah, maybe this just a moment. It's maybe something that NHF could look into. You know, NHF have been subsidizing various issues relating to health, and I think subsidizing dialysis treatment is one that I think we should
We should
put to
lobby for.
the NHF for consideration. Yeah.
Okay. I look back. I think I forgot one of mine, but I can't now remember did I say anything about road maintenance? Does anybody remember? God, I seem to have skipped over that. Let me just say one thing about road maintenance. I think the deterioration roads are things, and I'm thinking about this in the city of Kingston, which is where I am predominantly. It should never have come to the condition that it came to. Never. Where, and I'm just saying, I'm really pushing that maintenance means you don't wait for the thing to mash up and then you fix it. Maintenance is something that you maintain it in a proper working condition. And that should be a priority for any new government. Let's not have what we have had recently. It's just awful. I just wanted to make sure I did. I seem to have skipped over that in my list. Okay, who else would like to say anything? And I have to watch the time.
I'll make a couple comments.
Okay, go ahead, man.
I'd love to see greater focus on education, in particular to move away from the low value added labor to higher value added human resource. And by really shifting the composition of areas of studies that we focus on to those that are in demand now and that will be in demand going forward in this new AI reality, etc. I think similarly, this goes for industries as well. Our industries has traditionally been on primary output rather than more up the value chain. And so we need to see how we can best tackle these structural shortfalls. There also need to be a focus on this greater stimulation of local entrepreneurship and industry. I think historically there's been an overemphasis on foreign direct investment, and while they provide some amount of it, cash infusion at the outset, over the long term, they're a net drain on the economy because those profits are repatriated to other lands and not retained within our economy. I think transportation is also key. I think we talk a good talk about productivity, but there are so many ingredients that goes into productivity, production and productivity. I can't see why. I mean, we have been using the Chinese for almost everything these days, and I can't see why the train service in particular cannot benefit from that sort of resource. I know there are so many other variables that we're pondering to because everybody running a taxi these days or every businessman, quote unquote, have a trucking company or so forth. But if we're to think for the long-term benefit of our country and society, I can't see why the train service is not accelerated. I'm very disappointed when I see them breaking down on the road, taking hours to go from Kingston to Mobile, when 1 gallon of gas could take a whole fleet of carts between the two, and then use trucking for localized distribution. I'll just pause there, but I think those would help to advance our focus on economic development.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much. And let's anybody else has any wants to add anything to their wish list or share with us. Clovis, I noticed you're on. You have been kind of quiet. I don't know if you didn't, or maybe you didn't want to make it public, but I just thought I would invite you if you had anything that you wanted to say.
Yes, I'd sent in 5, but
where you sent it to? Where you sent it to?
I emailed it to you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't check back my email. I did ask people. I did say people could respond by email, and then I didn't check back the emails. So I must apologize for that. But do you want to say it, or you want me to?
All right, let me just quickly say it, because looking at the trend, it's not start on national basis. But let me just say, first of all, I would like whichever government to put to bed or expedite the completion on Jamaica's transition from a constitutional monarchy to a republic, and by extension, state our position as regards to the Privy Council or the CCJ as the final court of justice. This constitution monarchy discussion been going on for years, and I don't know if we are closer to finalize or far away. For years now, the country wanted to leave the monarchy. So why can't both parties come together and put it to bed? That, to me, is something that cannot continue to hang on. One of the other things I mentioned is strengthening legislation as regards access to information to ensure that the law has more teeth and thereby more effective. In many occasions, if we can have a discussion from an informed position, it lends us to less speculation. So, a lot of people just, take, for instance, the IC reports and things like that. Access to information that should be broadened, that we can get the information we want. We can have a proper discussion from, as I say, an informed position. Another thing I would like to see is whichever government sort of devise a mechanism to ensure we have economic gains, that the economic gains are passed on to the poor, what we know as the trickle-down effect. You know, the economy is doing exceptionally well with growth, with substantial reduction in debt to GDP, which means that when we were at 130, you know, we had nothing. We had to borrow money to pay our debts or pay interest or whatever. Now we're down to 62.8. We should have a lot of room and surpluses to pass on. And a lot of the poor people in the inner city, and whenever I walk around, you know, they say, yes, we understand certain things, but they don't see it, they don't feel it, they don't have it. And I'm sure the country is doing well. So how can we, if we are not doing it, pass on those, you know, the gains of the country to the people who need it more, the poor? The other two areas I spoke about were more financial and taxation. You know, with the income tax threshold, that's been there, I think, for over 10 years, where anybody earning 6,000 and more pays 30% tax. I think with inflation and what's been happening year over year, that sum is a very small sum now, and we need to increase that threshold. After so many years, we can still stay at 6 million. A lot of people are getting 6 and over. So, you know, we should continue with the 25% discount, 25% taxation, up to probably a threshold of 10 million, and then over that 30%. As a matter of fact, I like the idea that a previous speaker spoke about with indirect taxation. You know, I think that should be given very serious consideration, because it is the PAYE that carries the brunt of taxation in this country. The rich can afford luxury items, and we need to tax those, and the rich will certainly continue to buy them. You know, so that could replace some of the direct taxation that is taking place. So the person who mentioned the indirect taxation, I'm totally in agreement with them. The other one is basically coming out of the financial sector and up to a maximum of, I think, 4.5 million. They pay a small interest rate, 3% on motor vehicle, and I think 4% on mortgages. But 4.5 million can't really buy a good vehicle nowadays. Over 4.5, they pay an increased rate of interest based on the 6 months treasury bill rate, whatever it is. They move up to that rate. So I think that threshold can also be increased. That, in a nutshell, DP, is my contribution.
I pulled it up while you were speaking, so I've seen it, and you're the only one who actually responded. So I don't know, it's just fate that I called on you, because and then look at it, you are actually sent in something. Thank you very much, Clovis. Really appreciate your contribution. And I think we have one more. I mean, can we get one more? If well, we have to wrap now. I know that people are so interested in the debates that is coming on
DP
a little
Marcel's
later.
hand is up, is it?
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Go ahead, DP Marcel.
Right, thanks. Only since I spoke before, only if there's nobody else. All right. I'll be quick because I have to leave. So, just to say, in a kind of wrap up, I've listened to a lot of what has been said, and people have zeroed in on some very specific things, the things at the hospitals and so on. But just to say that, listen, talking generally and broadly, talk about Jamaica and what we need to focus on. The real issue, in my humble opinion, and I think Lloyd Barnett and a couple others kind of related to it, is that unless there is significant growth in our economy, it's just like you run your house, if for all these years and years you're not growing your house, your business, and by extension the country, then we're gonna be in the state that we're in. When you have a situation where Jamaica is what, 60-year old, and for 40 or 50 years there has been relatively no growth, that tells the story. Simple. Hospitals, roads, schools, all that. We can't increase our water supply, storage, and so on because there's no growth. So that's why I'm saying, when I thought about it, my thing was to look at identify what areas, because we can't spread ourselves too wide, where we have a competitive advantage in terms of our location, our natural assets, and so on. Focus on that, put the resources there, everything will flow from that. And Lloyd Barnett also mentioned it. There is millions of dollars to be made because of our location in both logistics as a hub and transshipment and tourism. Millions. And if we don't, I saw an article which said, if we, it is far reaching, we'd have to remove Tinston Pen, clear, what name? Where the garbage is and all the people in
Riverton.
Riverton. Move all those people, Greenwich down, and establish real transshipment and a hub facility. Panama and all those places couldn't compete with us because we have it location. And we have to find and identify something that will make Jamaica grow. We won't go nowhere unless we're growing. Competitive advantage is there, location is there. Tourism as a product, we have one of the best, not in the Caribbean, in the world. And we have a creative industry, both in terms of our culture, our music, our sports and entertainment. A city like Kingston, Portugal should be a hub, not just reggae soul splash and carnivals. Throughout the year, there should be monthly festivals. There are countries making millions of dollars in Europe and North America off of our music. We don't monetize it. We are joking. So I'm saying, identify these 3 or 4 areas, and of course, our agriculture. Right? We have the best ginger in the world, the best coffee in the world, the best pimento in the world. And we does not. So focus on those simple things like farm roads. Yeah, the highways are nice and da 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 da. Farm roads, as an example, proper irrigation. Find 4 things. That's what countries that grow, like Singapore or so forth. Find the things that you have a competitive advantage, that you can do well, and everything else will fall into place. And real growth. 1.4% is rubbish. If we're doing 5, 6, 7, some countries when they do 5%, they are upset. When China do 5%, then vex. When they do 5% growth, they are upset. We are celebrating 1.4%. We're joking. I gotta go.
All right. All right, Marcel. I think there are things that one could debate and even in what you have said and what some of the other people have said. But tonight is not the night for that. I'm gonna remember, I'd like to invite the persons here that you can go to our YouTube channel, KCOK YouTube channel. The video will be posted, and we can think back and reflect on it. But we have to wrap now. And I think this is a point. I think a discussion on the pros and cons of some of these things could be another thing that we could look at another time. But Newton, I think it's a difficult task for me to ask you if you have been able to do any collation, to have you come up with any numbers. If you haven't been able to, I would understand.
I actually did a quick thing, BP Stewart.
Okay.
The main topic seemed to be education, which includes having STEM education, fixing early childhood, earlier diagnosis, better remuneration, and all of that. That was mentioned, and I'm just talking from the panelists. That came up about 9 times, right? Then you had about improving the transportation system, which means not only what we have now, but transitioning back to rail and all of that. That came up on 5 occasions. We have increase in the housing stock and urban renewal. That came up 4 times in the thing. Growing the economy and GDP and stabilizing the economy and growing our GDP. That came up 5 times. The rest of the stuff.
What about healthcare?
Healthcare, boom, 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 housing. I soon find it. I soon tell you. Well, let me just go down quickly. Well, fixed access to healthcare, that came up 3 times as a serious thing. Fixing the social safety net came up once. Road maintenance, rural water system, national security. Strange enough, national security only came up once. Transportation came up. I have 2 here, but so transportation is 7. I had it twice. So transportation came up 7 times. Urbanization came up twice. Agriculture and food security came up twice. Tourism came up 4 times. The creative industry came up once. Establishing think tank once. Climate changes, I think climate control and that was 3 times. Finding oil was once. Noise nuisance was once. Fixing our disposable income came up twice. Increasing productivity, not just of individuals, but of the government services, and so that came up twice. Checks and balance, which involves the Auditor General keeping everybody in check, that came up once. Rural infrastructure development, that came up once. Developing local talents and helping local small businesses, that came up 3 times. And I think that is basically it, sir.
Okay, I think you did a very good job. You did an excellent job. It wasn't easy because the way people phrase these issues, it might have been a little bit in this section and a little bit in another sector. So thanks for that.
I summarize about 8 pages of writing into that.
Thank you. I knew you were the right person for me to ask, so thank you very much. And fellow our audience, I want to thank you. I think this has, well, I don't know if I should say it myself, but I think this has turned out better than some persons were fearing, because there was a lot of apprehension of that this could degenerate into, the kind of political cascas that some, once you start talking about politics, people get scared, or, I got some polite no's that, people didn't want to touch this, but thanks to those who are willing to step forward. And I think our discussion, well, I won't say discussion, but I think the ideas put forward and issues put forward has been quite useful. And it's gonna be, we'll put it up on YouTube for anyone who wants to, examine it further. But I want to thank all of those who participated and thank our guests for who have shown up, and say, at this point, let me hand you back to President Stephen.
Thank you very much, DP Stu, and thank you for all of the participants in our discussion. I would invite you, if you're so minded, after the meeting concludes, which is in a few minutes' time, if you want to continue the discussion on these very relevant matters, please stay online and we can have an after-hours discussion. But just to conclude the meeting, we're going, Sergeant at Arms, there's no Sergeant at Arms, but I'll give a blanket fine in the spirit of election and all of the various views and opinions that were shared today. Those of you who are enumerated, that is KCOK members who are enumerated, which is a good thing, pay a fine of $300. And for those who are not on the voters list and only have a wish list but don't want to take it the next step to action it, pay a fine of $600. So on that note, I'm going to move now to notices and announcements and hand over to Secretary Willie if there are any announcements from Kingston Club at this time.
Thank you, President Stephen. At this time, just to mention, the Director of Fundraising is proposing that we have a meeting on Thursday to start our planning for our Christmas ball, which is going to take place at the Pegasus Hotel on Saturday, December 6 at 8 p.m. Speaking of all, just to reinforce what I said earlier, President Stephen reminded to members, you want to support the charity ball for student scholarships and grants put on by the ECNC district, along with the clubs. That is this coming Friday at 7 o'clock for cocktails, and we assemble at 8 o'clock. The music is being provided by Frankie Campbell, and insofar as just because your neighbor. Insofar as sorry, I should have mentioned the cost. Lewis doesn't mean you're low. $18,000. Speaking of, that is the announcement. I'll just let the board members know that we have this coming Monday, be the 1st of September, will be our final board meeting. Venue will be announced, and the notice of meeting and minutes be circulated again tomorrow morning. Regarding interclubs, we have 2 invitations. One is by the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. They're asking us to attend their meeting tomorrow, where their guest speaker will speak on Charles Right. And on the 31st, Kiwanis Club of Friends Across Borders is having a church service. There is a flyer being circulated, and it's on, and the link is provided. The pastor is Christine the pastry, yes. That is all for now, President Stephen. You may invite the other clubs just to mention if they have any upcoming events. Thank you.
Sure. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Secretary Willie. And yes, I would like to. Question. Go ahead.
A quick one.
Sure.
If
go
we
ahead.
don't get to pay online, can we pay at the venue for Friday?
If you can do it.
Pay online for the charity ball at the venue.
If you don't get to pay online, can one pay at the venue?
Oh, okay.
Yes. Well, what you advise them, yes. You let me know
but
that
Willie,
you'll be all right. I've spoken to you. Yes, Pep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was told today that if you pay at the venue, the cost would be $18,000. Whereas if you pay online now, before tomorrow, it would be 15.
Oh, really?
Well, they keep changing.
Oh, really? They have kept the 15 for online payment?
I don't know. I did that. I went online today.
And you paid 15?
Yeah, I don't get anybody said me no yet.
What?
And when they tell you no, tell them that DLG Best told you that it's 15.
But it's best to do it before tomorrow, before Friday night.
Okay.
Well, if
1,000, yes.
Well, I've indicated to the chairman of the committee that we have 5 members of Kiwanis Club of Kingston will be in attendance. And she has agreed. Well, at the time I thought it was 18,000, but if it's 15, I will clarify that with Keisha Brown.
Well, please, and let me know. Let me know, because
I will, darling. I will.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what I know, it should be at 18.
That's right.
And I don't know if you would have had any. Obviously, persons may be calling and asking about whether it can be at 15 or not. So I'm not sure what the response was.
Yeah, there was an early bird special at 15, and plus, if you have a bulk amount of tickets that you're buying, a discount is also applicable in that situation.
Oh yes, if you're buying more than like you're buying a table.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe that's what I will look forward
bird
to.
And there's a table price also.
I probably is in a deficit. So
all right. Let us quickly round up. Is there thanks for that, DLG Bev. Is there any other announcement from any of our visiting clubs at this time? I'm inviting you to share at this time. West St. Andrew, New Kingston, Montego Bay, I see online, 23 CSO. If there's no announcement, going once.
Just by the way, quickly, sorry, Prez.
Okay,
The
go ahead.
Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay is having their anniversary meeting on the 11th of September, and I'm sure they'll be sending out a flyer. Their anniversary meeting. I think the 56th anniversary.
Okay, nice. Venue and information to be shared later on.
All right.
Correct. Okay, last call. Any announcements? Going once, going twice. If not, now, and I think DP Marcel, are you still online? I believe he said he had to leave, so DP Marcel isn't here to give us a
Oh,
thought of the day.
President, I'm so sorry, so sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
We are, the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston will be hosting a golf tournament, our annual golf tournament on September 20 at the Caymanas Golf and Country Club. Now we are seeking golfers to register. And so we are putting it out to all you men of this club who we know are golfers, or if you know a friend who would like to be registered, please let us know. Please let us know. It is for our major project at the Bellevue Hospital. Proceeds towards our major project at the Bellevue Hospital.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Bev, women are on and women play golf too, Bev.
I know.
Well, sure, that goes for the women like Gerslin who would like to register.
That is my past, not now. Be able to
But it
walk when
also
you go
for
to the golf
women
course.
too.
Yes. Both men and women are invited.
Yes,
If
thank
you're a
you.
golfer, please try and participate. September 20th at Caymanas Golf and Country Club, Kiwanis Club of New Kingston's charity golf tournament. So on that note, it's now we're running late, 9:06. I'd like to officially, before I call the meeting to order, ask that you raise your virtual glass, or if you have a real glass, and let's propose a toast to Kiwanis International and Jamaica Land We Love. This hereby concludes this meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. Thank you, everybody. Have a safe journey home, and please stay online if you'd like to talk a little bit more about your dream for Jamaica as a continuation of our discussion earlier. Thank you, everybody, and have a pleasant evening.
And I won't be playing any music tonight. I think I want to just see what the debate is about. But I won't close the meeting. I will, if anybody wants to talk.
Stewie, you cannot do that. Anyway, I'm just joking. All right.
Can I ask DP Stu, who is debating tonight? I haven't been able a chance to follow. Who is debating this evening?
I know Peter Bunting is one. I saw a picture with the 6 people. I can't remember all of them, but I know Peter Bunting was one.
So security, national security, and what are the other topics?
And Tufton is on. Tufton is one.
Right.
I'm not looking at it now,
I
I'm kind
know,
of looking
but
at.
I wasn't even aware, and I saw the one yesterday, which was on with.
It's gonna be on YouTube anyway. It's always gonna show up on YouTube. So if you miss it, it's not a big deal. But and plus I can back up I have Digicel and I can back it up, so I can. That's another way I don't have to miss stuff if I want to watch it. And I can also play music and listen, but because I can turn down my sound. But I was thinking I would just, So guys, let me just close this because it's let me at least stop the recording, the YouTube. One sec, the live stream. I gotta do that.
While DP Stewart is doing that, I want to thank you very much. It was